Hey there, everybody. This is Kristen from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you for this week's mindfulness meditation. And as you know, this month is the month of self compassion. And I think that you can certainly take that in quite a few different directions. Generally speaking, obviously, the point of it all is just to soften a little bit to yourself and be willing to extend kindness and compassion to yourself in the same way that we would extend it to the people in our lives. But for this week's practice, I thought I would go in a slightly different direction, still underscored by the theme of self compassion. But what I'd like to focus on is a form of self compassion that's more about allowing yourself a true quality of like happiness and a depth of experience that comes without any kind of guilt or feeling like, it's too much, things are going too good, that sort of thing. So, knowing that that can sometimes happen for people and being aware of it and trying to to soften that sort of restrictive quality, this pressure we put on ourselves, where there's a limit. And so we'll just kind of go ahead and get started. And as always, if you're just not kind of feeling where I'm going with this, feel free to, for this 10 minutes, just do your regular practice, and that's totally okay. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Cool. Go ahead and find your seat, either closing your eyes or lowering your gaze. And let's begin by taking a few of those deep, grounding belly breaths. And when you're ready, allowing your breathing to resume its natural rhythm. And throughout this practice, knowing that you can always return to any of the anchors that you find make it easy for you to be as present as possible. The first is the breath, noticing the sensations associated with the breath. The second, of course, is sounds. Even in this moment outside, I can hear a car, an airplane passing overhead. And then the third, of course, is your body, focusing either on a part of your body, like your hands or your face or your feet, or just holding your entire body in your awareness, whatever you prefer. Allowing yourself to be here and knowing that when your mind wanders, which it will, it's totally okay. Just bring your attention back to one of those anchors and whatever we might be on as far as the guided piece. So let's begin that guided portion. What I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to bring to mind some of the things that you feel are fortunate. Maybe it is relationships with family members or friends. Perhaps it's as simple as having a home that you've been able to put together to your liking. Perhaps it's a sense of accomplishment and pride in your work or in undertakings outside of your work. And what I'd like for you to do as you bring these various things up is just allow yourself to enjoy all the sensations associated with these things that you feel are great about your life. There's undoubtedly a gratitude component to this, And yet it's not so much about focusing on gratitude as much as it's allowing yourself just to kind of bathe in your good fortune, to splash around almost like a bird in a bird bath, and let the pleasure associated with these gifts in your life, allow yourself to feel them. And I don't want you to go off on kind of an ego trip of, I'm so awesome. I did this, that, and the other thing, or whatever. It's not about that. It's actually just about allowing yourself to be happy about the things that you have in your life that are good. And of course, there are many, I'm sure. Feeling what it feels like, perhaps in your body, as you bring up all of these joyous qualities of your life. People, things, experiences. And just feeling how good that feels. Now, sometimes when things are going really, really well, or we allow ourselves to indulge in taking joy or pleasure from various positive circumstances in our life, there can sometimes be an underside to that can arise. And it kind of depends on your background, what you were taught, what your beliefs may be. But sometimes there's this quality of, well, don't talk too much about it or think too much about it, or you might jinx yourself. Or it's best not to be too happy, perhaps because, I don't know, something bad will happen. And just noticing what that internal dialogue might be for you. How it is in this practice might be different than how it is in other times, and that's okay. But I just want you to allow yourself to see how that might come up. And you're not trying to push it away. You're not trying to, try to make it go away or beat yourself up for having that inclination, because we all do. This idea of an upper limit problem, wherever it comes from and whatever inspires it, has a quality of keeping us just a little under whatever this self-made boundary is of our lives. Perhaps if you feel that things are so great in one dimension of your life, then maybe they can't be in another. And not surprisingly, as you're bringing this up, perhaps feeling what that feels like in your body. And I'd like to invite you, for our purposes of today's practice, to just see that limiting belief and let it go. Consider, at least for the remainder of this practice, that whatever that limiting belief is, that you can turn it upside down. If, for example, you think, oh, well, things in my relationship are great, so therefore I can't have financial success, or vice versa. I'm doing really well in my work, but in some way I think my relationships have to suffer. And you get the idea. But what I want you to do is flip that and create an internal dialogue that's more along the lines of, I can have things go incredibly well in my work and still have a wonderful relationship. I can have a wonderful, fantastic relationship that continues to grow and evolve, and I can still have a satisfying and fruitful work experience as well. So flipping those narratives, flipping those limiting beliefs, and telling yourself a new story. And as you do that, noticing if there's a little bit of that itch of fear, seeing it for all that it is. It's just fear. It's a fear of having everything that you want. It's a fear of being too happy. And at least for the final few moments of this practice, I want you to see that fear for what it is, which is untrue. It's not grounded in anything. And open your mind to the idea that you don't have to limit yourself in any way. And that these beliefs in being able to have more and more positivity in your life is a deep form of self-compassion and self-love that is okay for you to have. So holding those ideas in silence for the final few moments until the bell. Okay, that was 10 minutes. So I know that one was a little different because it was sort of like a meditation, but a little more guided and a little more, think about this, think about that. But I do think that being aware of the fact that we often limit ourselves is useful. I did write a post about this, and I'll put a link in the email that this is being sent out to you in connection with. But it is something that I would invite you to notice. If nothing else, just shining the light of your awareness on your limiting beliefs and on, this predisposition that we all have to some degree to feel like we can't be too happy or else. I think just noticing that can actually shine a light on and loosen the truth and the power of such a belief in that regard. So thank you so much for taking this time to practice with me. Thank you, of course, for taking this time for yourself. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.